Hey, horror fans, once again, it is me, the Horror Mizamani G. It's time for day 3 of Wildeye Week, and this time we're going to review the horror movie, The Ouija Possession. Yes. Now, The Ouija Possession is a 2016 supernatural horror film. It was directed and written by Louis Carvalho. I think I pronounced that name right. Now, this movie stars James Barrett, Brian Boudreau, Niccolo La Sala, and Jocelyn Padilla. Now, in this wonderful horror movie, after finding a vintage spirit board in their parents' basement, a group of teens conjure an undead relative who stalks them from beyond the grave. Yes. Now, here lately, we've seen a lot of horror movies based upon the Ouija board, I believe. They've become more popular since, I think, 2014's Ouija, based upon the Parker Board's game. Yes, there was a game that had Ouija in it. We had that, and of course we had the prequel sequel, Ouija Origin of Evil, but then we have other horror movies with the word Ouija in it, whether it was the Ouija Experiment, I think it was one called Ouija Shark. It's a whole bunch of horror movies based upon this particular spirit board. And here, this one by Lewis, he wrote and directed this one, simply called the Ouija Possession. Now, in the Ouija Possession, we have a bunch of young people: Tony, Francis, Lydia, Barbara, Jonah. They're a bunch of kids. On a late Saturday night, they go into Francis's basement because his parents are having a party with a bunch of grown people. They don't know what to do. You have a whole bunch of people, kids, young people sitting around. They decide, hey, let's play with a spirit board. Why not? So after around 10 minutes of fooling around, they decide to contact a relative named Jonah. And unfortunately, as we see later on in the movie, actually in the beginning of the movie, we see someone with Jonah's gravestone. He rises from the dead. And of course, they regret it because later on, he goes and fucks them all up. That's basically what the movie is about. Very simple. Now, again, I understand when it comes to low-budget films, you don't have that much to work with, and I do give the director Lewis and his team credit, as they did try to come up with something decent here. I mean, like I said, it's a very simple premise here. Can't get anything wrong. I did like some of the aspects of Jonah. I like some of the makeup effects because he does look like a demon. So I'll give him credit for that. Now, again, as I stated before, I am not a filmmaker. I've never known, I don't know how to shoot films. I never went to film school, so I don't know the ins and out of filmmaking. But I understand when you're actually trying to create tension or when you're trying to create shots, I believe that I can capable of doing something better than what Lewis and his team has done here. Not saying that it's one of the worst looking films I've seen, but for some reason, when it comes to practical effects or shooting scenes that make sense, it's amateur hour when it comes to this film. One problem is that the acting. Yeah, I understand these are not top-notch actors. They're probably trying to get into the business, and that's what you do when you're an independent filmmaker. You work with what you can get, but unfortunately, the acting here is below average at best. None of these people are believable. There's no character development, but you're not going to get that in this particular type of film. Like I said, it's a simple plot, and we've seen this type of aspect before. You shouldn't be playing with Ouija boards, but what are you going to do? The worst part of this film is the pacing because we have very long takes. It takes a while before we even get Jonah to come out and rise up from the grave. It's kind of shot out of sequence because we see them in the beginning of the film playing with the Ouija board. They all look weird and possessed. The guy, I can't remember his name, he's the one that didn't want to do anything about it. He's trying to get them to stop playing with the Ouija board. And then we sort of get to where they first starting in the film, where they're playing football. I think the girl Barbara and the girl Lydia, I think that's what their name was. It looked like they're having a conversation, which is another problem they have in the film. You really can't have the main two people talking and then you have the three guys talking at the same time. It's really not the great way to try to get your characters to grow, and it's kind of confusing, and it loses the emphasis when you're having two different type of conversations and they're mushed together. I don't know, was it a problem with the ADR? if they had to do it over again, when they filmed it didn't come out right, so they had to re-record the audio again for that particular scene. But it was really thrown off, and again, that's just poor editing. Another problem that I have with this film is some of the fight scenes that they have. There's one particular fight scene where one of the guys is fighting Jonah with a shovel, and it just looks terrible. I don't know if they shot it wrong or they simply just not have the budget to fight the scenes. Like I said, I do give them credit because we do get some nice kills in there, even though they happen off screen. When someone gets bashed in the head with a bat, we do see blood. So I will give them credit for that. Overall, this is just a very poor written script, very poor acting, very poor editing, and again, if you're going to try to do something decent, you should try to get your editing better, you try to get the audio to work better so that way it flows evenly so you don't confuse the audience. But I will give them credit for at least trying. So I'm going to give the Ouija Possession half of a Ouija Plachet out of 5. So there you have it. That's my review of day 3 for Wildeye Week, the Ouija Possession. Okay, we'll continue on with day 4. So if you do like this video too, please do like and share because it does help with the YouTube algorithm. Also, if you're new here, please hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell. That way you'll be notified anytime when I put a new video such as this one. Once again, my name is Lamont Smith, better known as the Horror Miser Monty G, and always remember that horror rules. And I'll see you in my next video. I'm out.